For decades, we were told to avoid fats, especially butter, to protect our hearts and waistlines. The message was everywhere. Butter was the enemy, a source of saturated fat that could clog our arteries and expand our waistlines. Health campaigns, food labels, and even family conversations at the breakfast table echoed the same warning. Choose margarine, opt for low-fat spreads, and keep butter off your plate. This advice shaped our diets, supermarket shelves, and even medical recommendations. Supermarkets responded by stocking more low-fat and fat-free products, while butter was pushed to the back of the fridge. Doctors and nutritionists advised patients to cut back, and entire generations grew up believing that butter was a guilty pleasure best avoided. But what if butter isn't the villain we thought? Imagine the surprise of discovering that something we've been told to fear might not be so harmful after all. Could it be that our understanding of nutrition has been missing a crucial piece of the puzzle? Recent research suggests a small daily amount could actually lower the risk of type 2 diabetes, a major heart disease factor. Scientists are now re-examining the role of butter in our diets, and some studies indicate that moderate consumption may have unexpected benefits. Instead of being a simple villain, butter might play a more nuanced role in our health, especially when enjoyed as part of a balanced diet. This challenges the old narrative and urges us to look at our overall dietary patterns, not just single nutrients. Nutrition experts now emphasize the importance of the bigger picture, how all the foods we eat work together to impact our health. It's not just about one ingredient, but about balance, variety, and moderation. Nutrition science evolves, and butter's story is now a case study in how new evidence can overturn long-held beliefs. As researchers continue to study the complex relationship between food and health, we're reminded that science is always moving forward. What we once thought was settled can change with new discoveries, and it's important to stay open to fresh perspectives. So, is it time to welcome butter back to the table? The answer isn't simple, but it's certainly more interesting than we once believed. Let's explore the latest research and what it means for your health, so you can make informed choices about what goes on your plate. The buzz comes from a Boston University study published in 2025, tracking nearly 2,500 adults for decades. The headline, "Those eating at least a teaspoon of butter daily had a 31% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes." Since diabetes is a major heart disease risk, this finding is significant. The study was observational, so it shows a strong link, not direct cause and effect. Butter eaters didn't gain more body fat, challenging the idea that butter leads to weight gain. The research suggests natural fats like butter may play a protective role, prompting a rethink of old dietary guidelines. It's a compelling piece of the puzzle, but not the final word. To understand the study's impact, let's quickly review type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Type 2 diabetes disrupts how your body handles sugar, often due to insulin resistance. High blood sugar damages nerves, organs, and blood vessels, raising the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Diabetes and heart disease are closely linked. One often leads to the other. Any dietary change that lowers diabetes risk could also help prevent heart disease, the world's leading killer. The Boston study's finding, a 31% lower diabetes risk with moderate butter intake, could have a powerful ripple effect. It's a simple tweak with potentially big benefits. The Boston study also looked at what butter does inside our bodies. Regular butter eaters had higher HDL, good, cholesterol, which helps clear arteries. They also had lower triglycerides, another key heart health marker. This healthier blood fat profile contradicts the old belief that all saturated fats are bad. Butter was also linked to better insulin sensitivity, which helps control blood sugar. These findings suggest butter in moderation may support metabolic health. It's not just about saturated fat, it's about the bigger picture. The butter versus margarine debate has raged for decades. The Boston study found butter may lower diabetes risk, but margarine, especially old versions, was linked to a 41% higher risk. The culprit? Trans fats, created during hydrogenation to make margarine spreadable. Trans fats raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol, making them worse than saturated fats. Most modern margarines are now trans fat-free, made with healthier oils. So the study's warning is about old-style margarines, not today's versions. The takeaway: natural fats like butter may be safer than highly processed spreads of the past. Always check labels and choose minimally processed options. Butter's bad reputation began in the 1950s, thanks to studies linking saturated fat to heart disease. Influential research, though flawed, led to decades of advice to avoid butter and other animal fats. Health agencies pushed low-fat diets, replacing butter with margarine and processed foods. Supermarkets filled with low-fat products, often higher in sugar and refined carbs. The focus was on single nutrients, not whole foods or dietary patterns. This simplistic view ignored differences between types of fats and the risks of processed replacements. Butter became a symbol of unhealthy eating, but the science was never as clear-cut as we thought. Now, we're re-examining these old assumptions. The diet heart hypothesis is now under scrutiny. Recent large studies show the link between saturated fat and heart disease is weaker than once believed. Not all saturated fats are the same. Dairy fats like those in butter may act differently than those in processed meats. The food matrix matters. Nutrients in whole foods interact in complex ways. The Boston study fits into a broader shift, moving from demonizing single nutrients to focusing on whole foods and dietary patterns. This doesn't mean unlimited butter, but it does suggest natural fats have a place in a healthy diet. The real problem may be processed foods and added sugars, not butter itself. Moderation and food quality are key. When it comes to butter, the scientific community is far from unanimous. While some studies highlight potential benefits, others raise important concerns. Nutrition research is a constantly evolving field, and new findings often challenge what we thought we knew. This means that not all studies agree on butter's effects on health, and the debate continues to spark lively discussion among experts. For example, a major study published in JAMA Internal Medicine followed more than 220,000 people from different backgrounds over a remarkable 33-year period. The researchers found that those who consumed higher amounts of butter had a 15% greater risk of death compared to those who ate less. This kind of long-term, large-scale research is crucial for understanding how our everyday choices can impact our health over a lifetime. Interestingly, the same study also found that replacing butter with plant-based oils like olive, canola, or avocado oil was linked to a lower risk of heart disease and overall mortality. These oils are rich in unsaturated fats, which have been shown to support heart health and reduce inflammation. This evidence supports the long-standing advice from many health organizations to favor unsaturated fats over saturated ones. Most experts agree that moderation is key. Enjoying a small amount of butter now and then is unlikely to cause harm for most people, especially as part of a balanced diet. However, making butter your main source of fat isn't recommended. Instead, try to use it sparingly and focus on incorporating a variety of healthy fats into your meals. Official dietary guidelines from governments and health organizations around the world continue to recommend limiting saturated fat intake. They encourage people to choose unsaturated oils, such as those from plants, whenever possible. These recommendations are based on decades of research and are designed to help reduce the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and stroke. It's important to remember that no single study can provide all the answers. The Boston study, for instance, adds valuable insight, but it's just one piece of a much larger and more complex puzzle. Nutrition science is influenced by many factors, including genetics, lifestyle, and even cultural habits. That's why nutrition science is rarely black and white. It's easy to get caught up in headlines or swing between extremes, but the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Instead of making drastic changes based on a single study or trend, it's wiser to look at the bigger picture and consider the full body of evidence. Before making any major changes to your diet, take time to review multiple sources and consult with qualified professionals. Weigh the evidence carefully, and remember that nutrition advice can change as new research emerges. Ultimately, the best approach is to aim for balance. Focus on variety, moderation, and whole foods, rather than chasing the latest fad or eliminating entire food groups. Your long-term health will thank you for it. With so much debate and conflicting advice out there, it's easy to feel overwhelmed about what you should actually eat. Every week, new headlines seem to contradict the last, making it hard to know what's truly healthy. But the basics of a nutritious diet are actually quite simple and timeless. The foundation of a healthy diet is balance. That means filling your plate with a wide variety of foods, especially plenty of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and lean sources of protein. These foods provide essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber that your body needs to function at its best. Try to include as many colors as possible on your plate, as different colored fruits and vegetables offer different nutrients and health benefits. According to the NHS Eat Well Guide, about a third of what you eat should be starchy carbohydrates, preferably whole grain. Aim for at least 5 portions of fruit and veg every day, and try to get around 30 grams of fiber, found in foods like whole grain bread, oats, beans, and lentils. Fiber is crucial for digestive health and can help lower your risk of heart disease and certain cancers. Protein is another key part of a healthy diet. You can get it from a variety of sources, including beans, lentils, fish, eggs, and lean meats like chicken or turkey. Try to eat at least 2 portions of fish each week, one of which should be oily fish like salmon or mackerel, as these are rich in omega-3 fatty acids that support heart and brain health. Dairy foods, such as milk, yogurt, and cheese, are good sources of calcium and protein. They help keep your bones and teeth strong. Choose lower fat and lower sugar options when you can, but remember that a little full-fat dairy is fine as part of a balanced diet. When it comes to fats, not all are created equal. Unsaturated oils like olive oil and rapeseed oil are healthier choices for cooking and dressings. Use them in small amounts, as even healthy fats are high in calories. Avoid using too much butter, lard, or coconut oil, which are high in saturated fats. Official guidelines suggest keeping saturated fat intake below 20 grams per day for women and 30 grams for men. To put that in perspective, a teaspoon of butter fits within these limits, so you don't have to cut it out completely. Just be mindful of how much you use. Enjoying a little butter on your toast or vegetables is perfectly fine, as long as the rest of your diet is balanced and healthy. It's all about moderation, not deprivation. Try to avoid old-style margarines, which can contain unhealthy trans fats and limit highly processed foods. These often have added salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats that can increase your risk of chronic diseases. Always check nutrition labels and choose products with fewer additives and lower levels of salt and sugar. Ultimately, the real keys to long-term health are moderation and variety. No single food will make or break your diet. By enjoying a wide range of foods in sensible amounts, you'll nourish your body, support your well-being, and make healthy eating a sustainable